bioremediation. The name itself says that it is nothing but it's a technique of treating the contaminated portion of the environment with the help of microorganisms. Are you getting that? Bio means living organisms. When we use or when we treat the pollutants with the help of microorganisms, then that technique is known as bioremediation. Okay, it is a technique that is commonly used to reduce the environmental pollution. Okay, and there is other term called phytoremediation. What do you mean by phytoremediation? Yes, phytoremediation. Yes, phyto means what? Yes, plants. When you use the plants to reduce the pollution, then that is nothing but phytoremediation. So use of plants is nothing but phytoremediation. Okay, then you will have other thing called phycoremediation. What do you mean by phycoremediation? Yes, it is when you use the fungus, then that is yes, when you use algae, that is known as phycoremediation. If you use microorganisms like say bacteria or fungi, then that is known as the bacteria is known as bioremediation. If you use plants, phytoremediation. If you use algae, that is phycoremediation. And there is other term called mycoremediation. Myco. So it is the use of fungi. Okay, are you getting that? When you use fungus, that is mycoremediation. These are 4 types of techniques that are being used. Phyto, you're talking about phyto or phyco? Phyco means when you use algae to treat the polluted water or polluted sites. Likewise, phyco means algae. So this is one thing. So here, when we particularly talk about the methods of bioremediation, so there are 2 methods. One is in situ methods and the other one is ex situ methods. So what is in situ method? In situ means when you try to treat a polluted area in that particular place only. That means within the site, on site, when you try to clear the pollution or remove the pollutants, that method is known as, that process is known as in situ bioremediation. Ex situ means you may just take up the polluted area, polluted contaminants, and you may just decontaminate it somewhere else. So that is ex situ, outside the source. If you take away from the source, if you are doing decontaminating, then that is ex situ bioremediation. Okay. So here, in situ methods, we have some of the methods like bioventing, biosparging, bioaugmentation. Remember 3 types: bioventing, biosparging, bioaugmentation. These are the 3 important methods of in situ bioremediation. Here what we will do in bioventing, you remember vent. So usually ventilation, we will say, what do you mean by ventilation? What is the purpose of ventilation? Yes, passing of air, passing of sunlight and all these things. So here in bioventing, what we are doing, you try to just look at the key term. So what we will do, we will try to supply the air and nutrients through the wells. Air and nutrients through the wells to decontaminate this soil. You make like decontaminate, to decontaminate the soil to stimulate the growth of microorganisms. What we will be doing, let's say for example, a water body has got polluted with some pollutants. Then what we will do, we will make some wells into the soil, and there we will try to inject or supply the air or nutrients. When we supply air or nutrients beneath the ground, so obviously what may happen? Due to availability of oxygen and due to availability of nutrients, microorganisms will start growing. So these microorganisms will help in decontamination of that particular soil. Okay, here you make it like decontaminate. Okay, make that change, decontamination of soil. So venting, we are making wells, and through that wells we are supplying air and nutrients. So that is one thing. And then biosparging, you remember, like forcefully what we are doing, we will try to pressurized with the pressure, we will try to inject the air below the water table. So in biosparging, usually what we will do, there would be water table, and we will try to inject the oxygen with in a pressurized injection. Pressurized injection of air below the water table. So thus what will happen when oxygen availability is more, obviously it leads to rise in the microorganisms, and thus it may help in bioremediation. That is biosparging. So that is one method. And apart from that, yes, yes. So here you remember, like if this is the soil portion, then when you try to create a well, ventilation, and when you are normally supplying the oxygen and nutrients, so when you supply this normally, then it may lead to rise in microorganisms. So this process is known as biovent. We are creating some vents, and through this we are supplying oxygen and nutrients. So that is bioventing. Here we are not using any force, we are normally supplying, we are making the vents and we are supplying the oxygen, air and nutrients normally. But in biosparging, what we will do, there would be water table, and below the water table what we will do, we will inject the air forcefully, means forceful injection or pressurized injection of air. So this makes to rise in availability of oxygen there, and thus we will have. So here we won't make vents, we will use some engineered equipment for that injection of air into that below the water table. So that is one thing. So that is biosparging. And in the similar fashion, we have other things called bioaugmentation. Augmentation means enhancement. Okay, bioaugmentation. So what will happen in bioaugmentation? Here we will try to continuously add the microorganisms to the contaminated region. Here we are enhancing the microorganisms directly, the concentration of microorganisms directly. So we are calling that process as bioaugmentation. Okay, so that is one thing. So when microorganisms are available, soil portion would be decontaminated automatically. So that is one thing. And then there are some ex situ methods. So what are the important ex situ methods? Land farming, composting, and bioreactors. So what we will do here in ex situ method, we will collect the polluted sample and we will decontaminate it somewhere else. Now what you will be doing in land farming, the contaminated soil would be excavated, it would be removed, and that would be taken to somewhere else, and it would be spread over a bed, and on that it would be periodically tilled, so that due to exposure to sunlight, due to exposure to other things, pollutants would be slowly they may get decontaminated. Likewise, so land farming, so we are excavating the land and we are just decontaminating it somewhere, okay, by periodic tilling. Tilling means plowing, like that one. Then composting. So composting means, like in compost what we will do, we will have manures likewise. So we will use biological systems of microorganisms, and we will try to decontaminate the soils by adding some sort of things like manure or such things. So usually that method is nothing but composting. Okay, so through compost, that is one thing. Bioreactor, it's a engineered instrument. So we will try to decontaminate the pollutant by the help of engineered system or a machine. So that is nothing but reactor, bioreactor. So there we will try to process the solid materials in the reactor. That method is known as bioreactor. So these three are ex situ methods, these three are in situ methods.